Hey, girlfriends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nimdia. I am the founder of the Girlfriend Experience, and I am the ultimate girlfriend coach. If you have found that you have been dropped off into my world, that is because it is meant for you to be here to join me on my journey to being the ultimate girlfriend to myself. And this is all about self love. This is all about self reflection. This is all about healing. And this is all about this raw, messy, yet freeing experience that I am currently in. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to get into what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I like to start off with being as authentic as possible. Um, when I come on here, most times I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I'll research something or I'll have an idea like, hey, maybe I should talk about this because I had a conversation with someone, and that would typically ignite what I feel I should authentically bring to you guys. Today I was having a little bit of struggle because I had a conversation and I wanted to talk about that, but some days have passed, so I lost some of the momentum of, what the discussion was, and I didn't get an opportunity to journal about it. And excuse me, I didn't get an opportunity to journal about it. I didn't get the opportunity to really get clarity for myself. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day about, as I've been in this space for the past 3 months, I've been in what some would call an isolation, just sort of protecting my space while I am going through this process of just figuring out who I am. And I'm about to be 45 next month. That's how this all started. I'm about to be 45 next month. And I'm just in this full reevaluating process. And a lot of that is about who I am, who I want, how I want to show up in the world, what I need to heal, what I need to self reflect on, and just really being intentional about it, right? So I was talking to someone the other day and just mentioning, like, as I'm going through this process, these are certain things that are coming up that I'm realizing are some of my core values, right? For how other people show up in my space. And if there is no alignment and there's no reciprocity, not reciprocity, but if they do not align, then I must decline. And they felt like, well, that's really matter of fact, and really like, oh, if somebody doesn't do or operate the way that I want them to operate, then, oh, there's just no room and no space for them. And I said, yeah, like, that's the whole point. That's the whole purpose of having values, so that there's a measuring space, for lack of a better word. There is a line to measure up against on whether or not this person aligns with who you are as a person, and if you're going to be able to relate because you share the same core values. I want to be aligned with people who share my core values. However, before, that wasn't a high priority because I was out here in love and light, right? And as a light, you know that you're going to attract a lot of things to the light. Everything comes to the light. The bugs, the darkness, it all tries to attract the light. So now, as I'm understanding the light that I'm walking in, I am like, oh, hell no. My first core value is protecting myself, protecting my light, and preserving it for those who need pouring into, but who can also pour back into me. Reciprocity. So I came to the fact and understanding that reciprocity is one of my deepest and biggest core values now. It goes back to the beginning of what I spoke about in my very first video of you being everything to everyone but yourself, right? And now I am being everything to myself. However, as a result of that, the people who experience me are only going to get even more poured into them. And I deserve. And I affirm that it is okay for me to have an expectation, and not an expectation like, oh, if you don't do this, then you're a bad person. It's no, I'm giving this to you because this is the core of who I am naturally. And as a result, I think it's a fairness and out of love that you be able to exchange and pour into me equally, especially when I'm down, especially when I'm going through. I already struggle on my own with feeling like with isolating myself when I'm going through, right? And that's a whole nother segment within itself. I don't know if that's a well, that comes from childhood stuff. This is, what I've been told, but I haven't done like too much research. So I don't really want to talk too much about that because that's not what this is fully about. This is fully about me having now a clear understanding of what I want, and then aligning my people who want the same things so that I'm not spending my time in a space of trying to change people, convince people to change, convince people that my way is right. This is not about anybody else. This is all about me. And so as I started to write, I was getting a little frustrated because I didn't really know how to like write it down, right? And I know some people may feel like, you're a grown ass woman. Why don't you know how to? Because I don't, because I didn't practice this. This has not been at the top of my list of things to do. And that's why I'm here today. And this is me having grace on myself. So I was trying not to have a meltdown before I got on this camera. I'm like, I done made sure I look presentable for you guys. I don't want to come on here crying, but there will be some days I'm crying, but I wanted to be, um, I just wanted to be able to convey to you what my experience is, and that it's not always lovely, but it is still so beautiful. It is not perfect, but it's perfectly imperfect, and I want you to be able to embrace yourself in this journey as well, right? So I wrote down the easiest way for me to try to figure out what some of my core values was, and I wrote it down in a notebook, um, was to find out what things frustrate me. That's usually how you start to know. It's like, what do I not like? And then your core value is usually the opposite of that, right? So I wrote some things down. Okay. When people don't take responsibility for their actions, that really drives me crazy. So I value accountability and integrity. Okay. Um, I get upset when people dismiss my struggles. So I value compassion and fairness. And I'm going to say something after that. Um, I'm sorry, when people don't show up for me, and we spoke about this, the way that I show up for them, I value reciprocity. When people don't tell me that they have an issue with me or they feel like I hurt them in a way, and I find out down the line, and then it's a list of things that they did that I offended them on, that pisses me off. Okay. So I value transparency and full disclosure within, I'm going to say 24 to 48 hours, because I'm like that. When people put me in compromising situations that don't align with how I roll, I value safety and protection. When someone can't handle my self expression or differentiating thoughts or having my own opinion, and they attempt to suppress that, I value my freedom. And those were just a couple of things. Additionally, I value my family. I value my connection with my children. I value my connection with my children so much because they're like my heart outside of my body, and like me seeing these little pockets and versions of myself. Um, and that's just what the value is. I value my connection with my family. I didn't have like something that made me mad, but yeah, maybe if someone tries to like tell me you're overprotective or you're doing too much, I'm like, well, I value this. Or if I'm being too lenient when it comes to certain things, it's like, no, I value my connection with my children, so much so that it's easier for me to put my ego aside to um honor our relationship and to try to keep that intact. Like I love them so much. I'm like, I would never try to hurt you on purpose. So let me calm down and like get up out of my ego real quick so I can come and approach you. Now I'm not talking about that I do this right all the time because I definitely don't. I'm becoming a better person as I'm becoming more aware of how I want to show up in the world and how I have been showing up in the world. Okay. So there's a lot of things that I value, and now these things are written down. And I believe in, and I know it's a Bible verse that says, "Write the vision and make it plain." Right. So I wrote it down now. So now I'm a lot more clear on some of those things. And there are other different ways to find out things that are your core values, and I'll journal about those things as well. Like, when it comes to my professional life, what are my core values? When it comes to my priorities, what are my values? When it comes to um, people that I admire, what values do I see they have that align with what I may, want? So you go through a list of your common values, you narrow it down to your top 5 or 10 that truly define what matters to you. So I'm going to ask you guys the question so you can do this on your own. So reflect on meaningful life experiences. Think about times when you truly felt happy, proud, or fulfilled. What values were present in those moments? Notice what bothers you, because that's what helped me. If something upsets you deeply, the opposite may be your core value. Examine your daily priorities. Where do you naturally invest your time, energy, and money? Your actions often align with your true values, even if you don't define them, even if you haven't defined them yet. Look at who you admire. The people you respect often reflect values you hold most important. Use a values list and go through a list of common values and choose the ones that resonate the most. And I already said resonate. Narrow it down to the 5 or 10 that truly define what it matters, right? Once you determine those values, use them as a guide for making decisions, setting goals, and forming relationships. I am so big on the relationships also with like my girlfriends and my husband and like my children. So, and even 444 is on the clock. I love it. Look that angel number up and see if it resonates with you. So I had to Google because I really wasn't sure. Okay. And I'm telling you, I'm going to Google everything. Okay. I do not, as much as I know, I don't know it all. Okay. And so one of the things I asked was, oh my God. Oh, what's the difference between wanting to be around people who share your core values versus having unrealistic expectations? Because, having core values in other words can sound like you have standards, right? And people will be like, oh, your standards are too high. So let's take standards off the table. How can my core values, what means the most to me, be too high? How is that even a thing? Right? So what's the difference? Having unrealistic expectations. So seeking aligned values is healthy. Okay? I'm reading off my iPad. This is an iPad, right? I'm getting old. There's just like tablets around here. It's like some of every electrical device you could possibly think of. So wanting to surround yourself with people who value honesty, loyalty, or ambition makes sense because shared values create deeper connections. Okay. This can lead to fulfilling relationships, whether in friendships, work, or romance. Having unrealistic expectations, that's unhealthy. That means expecting others to perfectly uphold your values 100% of the time. That's unrealistic. So maybe I did sound a little unrealistic when I was saying it to the person, but that was just me not being clear on I just want to be around people who align with me and who share the same values. Okay. So I just got some enlightenment in that space. And that's what self love is all about, taking responsibility. So, okay, maybe I was articulating something in a way that could have been misunderstood. Okay. Um, Assuming people should never make mistakes or should prioritize your values over theirs can lead to disappointment. Demanding that everyone think or act exactly like you can limit personal growth and meaningful connections. My father always says, those who no, what does he say? People who command. Those who demand can never command. Okay. So I guess that's some sort of affiliation with those who are, and those who are not. Okay. So I don't even know if that makes sense. So how to find balance? Identify non-negotiables. So my non-negotiables are integrity, respect. Integrity and respect. Integrity and respect. Don't lie to me and talk to me nice. Don't disrespect me, please, because I try to maintain. I think I just hit my mic. I try to maintain, not try, I give respect. So I command respect. And once a person shows me they don't have respect, now in this space I am in, there will be no room for second attempts to figure out. I don't know. I'm just in like this real like absolutely no, can't do it. Don't have the capacity. Allow room for differences. People may share core values but express them in different ways. That is perfectly fine. I have a core value, especially with my friends. Like, can we just like, if you have an issue with me, please say something to me. Most 9 times out of 10, I salivate over someone coming to me honestly and saying, this is uncomfortable for me, but I really wanted to let you know, like when you said that, you hurt my feelings. Oh my God, because 1,000 times out of 1,000, I was not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I was probably just rapidly speaking, not thinking about the effects it could have on someone. And especially not my friend. I would never want to hurt my friend. I would never want to hurt my kid intentionally or accept my spouse, etc. So them telling me gives me the opportunity to not only correct how I'm showing up, but to reassure them that my intentions, I'm going to try to align with my intentions, because I always say good intentions aren't good enough. You can have good intentions day and night, but if you're out here tearing me up and hurting me, then your good intentions ain't good enough. So I don't want that to be the case. So it gives me the opportunity to correct it. And it also helps me build trust. Trust is actually one of my deepest core values. That is one of my deepest core values. It helps me to establish trust. And I know this is a little bit off topic and I didn't even know this was going to come up, but I had to learn at this big age of 44 that once I don't trust someone, once I lose trust in someone, you know how Jay-Z said, once a good girl's gone bad, she's gone forever. If I lose trust in someone, because it's very hard for me to lose trust in someone, I always see the good in people, I'll give them 1,000 chances. But once my trust is gone, where I start side eyeing you and I start creating stories in my head, and I stop being upfront and honest, and I stop aligning with my core values, because now I'm watching you and I'm observing you and I'm building a case. When I start acting low vibrational, that's because I lost trust in you. And instead of walking away, I was trying to determine if what I was feeling was accurate. I wasn't trusting myself. Ooh, girl, you better preach. I wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't aligning with my own core values. So when I continue to try to patronize situations where I no longer trust, it's time to go. It's time to go, even if it's just to take a reprieve from the space, to take space for me to reevaluate, realign, reconsider, determine if the facts from the fiction, my heart from my mind, to incorporate my mind over my heart and see what makes logical sense. When the trust is gone, I have to detach myself. And that's for my highest good. That is for my own personal self, because I start spiraling and I don't like the version of me that spirals. The last thing on how to find balance between unrealistic expectations and actually seeking alignment is communicate and compromise. Instead of cutting people off immediately, discuss differences and see if there's mutual understanding. And I love that. And I'm going to leave this here because I didn't even realize this video was so long. If this resonated with you, Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys for allowing me the time and trusting me with your space. As my mother always says, beloved, I wish above all that you will continue to prosper and be in good health. And again, thank you guys for joining me. Bye.